We are starting. Welcome everybody who's here to our last part of Module 1. Just a quick recap. We have looked into who belongs to a family system due to Bert Hellinger's orders of love, which is the first order of love, who belongs. We have talked in the second part who comes first, meaning who is in the, what is the right order. The second order of Bert Hellinger's orders of love is what is the right order for everybody in the system. And today we are talking about balancing of giving and receiving, which is the third order of love. Because just because we know an order of love doesn't mean that everybody has to be in this place. That would be completely unnatural and static, right? And life is not like this. Everything is possible and should be possible. The question is only when somebody is not in their right place, how does he or she balance it out, right? So somebody can be in another place and still the family system is in order. Yeah. And that is where the beauty begins, where you understand that you know of the order of love, but you also know how, to embrace if the order of in a family system is different and you're balancing the difference out. So here comes Kate. Say hello to Kate.
Hello, Kate.
Hello, Kate.
Hello, Kate.
Hello. Hi.
She doesn't see us. Okay. Okay. So Kate, we're starting at 6, yeah, and it's 6:05. So just that you know, you are late, and we have already started.
Hi.
Same as with Nam Shakti. Here she is. Hello. Hi.
Sorry, I almost fell asleep again.
I was worried about that. I was worried. I hope you have a good clock, that alarm clock you can put up.
It did. It woke me up and then I just fell back to sleep. I was like, I gotta get up.
So you found a spot where you can speak. That's lovely.
Yeah, I'm still in my room, but I'm just away from my room.
Oh yeah, okay, wonderful. Okay.
Away from my bed, sorry.
Okay. No, it's also good to see everybody in a good light today. That's really a big improvement. So thank you for that. Okay, Daniel is coming later. He is somehow hindered in joining us on time. Okay. So I was just talking about what we to expect today. After the first 2 orders of love, which was belonging the first and who comes first, meaning which is the right order in between the family members that are belonging, that's the second order of love. Third order of love is how to balance the order if not everybody is in its right spot. Because just because there is an order of love doesn't mean that everybody has to be in there. That would be very unnatural and static, right? That would be not like life is. Life is allowing all kinds of variations. So in a family system, everything can be different as long as the persons who are involved are balancing that out. And that is about what we do today. How do we find the right balance? And what are we doing? And I have really good news today. We have only 1 slide. So even if
A question about yesterday. Well, we didn't touch it, but it came to my mind today.
Yeah.
What would be the case in artificial insemination kind of pregnancies when there are like 12 eggs that are with the sperm, let's just say, perhaps only 3 of them go into the uterus of the mother.
Mm-hmm.
Have we perhaps we don't know.
That's a really good question, and it's very common nowadays to have IVFs, and in most families that would be an issue. There is a spiritual look view to it, which I share in module 4 from Malcolm Southwood. Due to this view, that wouldn't matter. Bert Hellinger hasn't talked about it as far as I know. So what we're going to do is, and bear that in mind, we're going to look at for ourselves. Yeah?
Okay.
We're going to look for ourselves, not now, but make a note. And when we have time, we make an exercise and we look for ourselves. How that is. Yeah? Yeah. We might find somebody who had IVF, and then this becomes a real constellation, you know?
Oh yes, I have a case. This came up with my cousin, talking with her. She was asking, so what about me? And it's like, I don't know, I'll ask.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, very good. So we might look at it. So now I will share the screen, as always, hoping everything goes well.
My daughter told me she's considering IVF today.
Oh, how interesting, Kate. How interesting. So, okay. So we are. Part 3, the third order of love, balance of giving and receiving. That's what we look at today. Giving and receiving in relationships. Giving and, so relationship is actually the all over theme, right? We have a relationship with every other person, so that's it. So we are looking in specific relationships in the mother-child relationship, the father-child relationship, in the relationship to ancestors, and adult relationships, meaning partnerships or romantic relationships, or however we want to call it. And I hope you all received the email and had the pictures of your mother, father, and partner. Gerhard? Have you? Yes?
Yes.
I discovered I don't have them.
Oh, interesting. Whoa. Okay, because we're going to make exercises. So if you don't have a picture, obviously you can also kind of see it in your inner eyes, but it is great if you have a picture. It makes sense. I also brought my parents, and I will introduce them to you today. This is my father, Hans. They are all already passed on long ago. And this is my mother, Ingeborg. And this is my ex-husband. It's a very old photo, very blurry, but that was the only paper version I could find because everything else is electronic. Okay, so that is my little family that I also brought for today to support our class today. So we are talking, or we're beginning with the mother relationship from you to your mother. And this is also in general every child's relationship to his or her mother, right? It's not only you. There are some general aspects to it that you will find are often distorted and almost all the time in a family constellation coming up in the first, second, and third constellations one is doing, because the bond to the mother is the strongest, obviously, through the giving birth experience and the pregnancy, and also the caring afterwards. So obviously that's the strongest bond of a child is to the mother. This is why she comes first in this order, right? So it's the mother that comes first when we are looking from the child, right? When we're looking in a relationship, father is first, he secures the family, but when we are looking at our child individual relationships with a person, then the mother is the strongest bond, then is the father, and then are the siblings. Okay, so mother's love, we know this from the last parts, is flowing to the child. So that is important. The mother, regardless how it looks in daily life, that is not of our concern here. the love is the unseen energy of nourishment and caring that is naturally in a mother, which she got from her mother, and this is flowing naturally to the child. And the fact is, if this wouldn't happen, the child would not have survived, because that is the reason for it, to secure the life of the child, right? That's really important to understand that, because if somebody's complaining, not having, gotten enough love from the mother, you just look at this one and say, well, you are alive, aren't you? As long as you're alive, your mother has fulfilled her duty, right? The duty of a mother is to secure the life of the child and not to make a bed of roses or what, you got the picture, right? It's purely to provide for the life of the child. Of course, our perceptions of our mothers are all different to this fact. There is a deep longing that the mother gives us more and more and more. And once we grow up and we are stuck in this energy, we always feel we have not gotten enough. And that is a common feeling. And then this is also, we have a lack in everything. So everything is like lack in success. Remember yesterday we pointed out success has mother's face. So if we have a lack in the perception that the mother, like if we are perceiving the mother has not given us enough love, the way we want it, when we want it, and so on, then we will find this lack everywhere else, especially in professional relationships, like in our work, as either as an employee or an employer or an entrepreneur or a chef, a boss, or whatever. You will find, or self-employed, you will find it is never, you perceive yourself as not successful, because whatever happens will be not enough. This is also, success is not objective, right? It's very subjective. What is success? So you are perceiving yourself probably as not really successful, and somebody else finds your life is quite successful. And this actually is all originated in your relationship to the mother.
Mm.
Yes, Ale. You know that we can't hear you when you're muted.
Yeah, just a quick question, sorry, but just came to my mind. And how can we perceive if it's not this feeling, about this feeling is not enough, and try to move from your comfort zone? How can we know, or how can we perceive it?
I think what you just said are two different topics. The one is the feeling of having not enough, and the other is moving out of the comfort zone. Moving out of the comfort zone is solely to leave the personal or the common conscience. Only that. Yeah, that is leaving the comfort zone. That has not necessarily to do with the mother, and it has not to do with success or not success. So you're feeling uncomfortable because you are leaving the conditioned realm of your family.
Mm.
And that comes through as a bad conscience. You feel bad and sometimes even guilty about it. Yeah. So it's actually a good thing to feel like this, because you would evolve into something greater than you were born into. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Will
Yeah?
you be giving us the recording of these videos?
Sorry?
Will you be giving us the recording of these videos?
So I was thinking about that, and because I'm recording it anyhow, I was thinking, yes, I would like to give you the recording, but however, I need to make a new form for you about copyrights. So I will do it, but it takes a few days, right?
Okay,
So,
good. So I can leave you in, because sometimes when I take notes, my mind goes away. So
sure,
sometimes,
totally
yeah.
understood.
Thank you.
Totally understood. However, when I was studying online, I felt like I had all this. I never looked it again. Probably it was my thing, you know. I thought, oh, I need these videos, and I have them all. And now I'm thinking about it. I have them all in my Dropbox, and I never looked at them
I
again.
always look at the videos back.
So, but that's a very personal thing. So yes, we're a little bit sidetracked, but it's probably good to go there now, because all of you are on the complete training, and I would like to set up a new meeting where we are talking about the training, how we proceed after this first module. And I was just, and it will be a more convenient time for you, Nam Shakti. So I was wondering how the New Zealanders think about gathering next Sunday morning for like half an hour on Zoom. So it would be for Nam Shakti's Saturday afternoon. Would that be okay? Yeah?
That's okay for me if it's early Sunday, because I
Yeah.
need to be away at about by 10:30. I need to be leaving the house.
Okay, then shall we say 10 o'clock
Yeah.
next Sunday for us?
Yeah.
And then I think where we look it up, you look it up now, Shakti, but it will be something like 5 p.m. on Saturday, I think. Or shall we quickly do that here, because I have a clever app that will give me hopefully. So if we say, what did we say, 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, then it would be in New York, it would be 6 p.m. Saturday. Is that good? Awesome. Okay, so I will schedule a meeting, and as if you would have heard, he is now coming through.
So is it, how long will it be? And is
Half an
this
hour.
on this link?
No, it's not this link. I will send you a
separate
new
link.
link. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me just check. Oh no, Tracy. Okay, she was leaving. Let me just figure that out, what's going on there. Tracy, are you back? You were leaving? Okay. Can you hear us?
Me?
Tracy? Yeah?
Yes, sorry, I just changed computers.
Ah, that's why. Okay, good. All right. Okay, cool. Now, how do I get rid of this here? Let me just, okay, so now that we have been through that, okay, right. Let's go back to our topic of the day. Mother's love and the child, the love of the child to the mother. Remember, it is a stream. The stream of love is flowing only one direction, mother to child, from her mother to her, so the grandmother to mother to child, all the way down to the source. So that's the way it goes. Whatever is flowing, the love that is flowing is all there is. There is no lack. You know, the stream is always the same. It can only increase in size, cannot go smaller. The water is not just going away, right? Love energy is not just going away. It is always there. It might not show in the way that the child would like to perceive it, but that does not matter, and it doesn't change it. So as long as the child survives, the mother's love has been flown to the child. What has happened is that the child wasn't able to receive it properly. And that is the imbalance that needs to be balanced. We never, so yes, we do. Sorry, I have to correct myself. In constellations, you see sometimes that when the child is not able to receive mother's love, sometimes the mother is not able to receive, was not able to receive the love of her mother, and so on, you know. So then you have to go back to the mother, the last one who was able to receive the love of their mother, of her mother, and then start from there in a constellation. So you let the love flow through, right? So the love was always there. It was just stuck like a big rock in the river or something like that, or a wall that built it up. And then, you know, like a dam, like the water is there, the love is still there, but it's kind of not coming through. And that is often the case. It is often the case that the imbalance is not in the last generation, but in a generation before, or even 4 or 5 generations before. Found this imbalance, then the love can flow, and the love is flowing in the right direction to the child. Now, what is the right place for the child, and how can the child balance the love it received when it cannot give anything back because the water doesn't flow uphill? How do we do that? We give the love to our children. That's the only way, without demanding from our children that they give us anything, because we want them to give our love that we actually have from our mother and our grandmother. So it's not our love, it's the mother's love, flow through us to our children, and then from there to their children. And that is wonderful, and that is for everybody a relief if that is seen and that is obeyed. So if the mother doesn't expect from the children to love her back as if she would be a child, you know, the love of the child to the mother is different as the mother's love to a child. Yeah, that cannot be mixed up. So the child from the love from a child to the mother is not the nourishment and the caring that the mother's love is. It's gratefulness, obviously, and it's bond that is the children's love. What is if the children don't have children? Where does it end there? Is the love, does it stop there? Do they cannot give it? What do you think?
There are other forms and ways of giving love when you don't have
to somebody who is also in need of care. So it's not a partner. Yeah, don't forget the partner. We are talking about partner relationship after the break. The partner is equal to us. Yeah, there is not a stream of love flowing up or down. Down, obviously not up. That is like a lake. You know, the water is in the same level. So the mother's love cannot be given to a partner. The mother's love that is in a child that has no own children is given to others who need care. That can be very obviously animals, right? So there could be dogs, cats, maybe an animal sanctuary, horses or whatnot. This child could go volunteer at SPCA, all kinds of things, or could make a profession out of caring for elderly people or for special needs children or something like that. That is where the love can flow, wherever is care is necessary and appropriate to give. And this is how the love flows. and doesn't get stuck and causes imbalance. And often these children, once they are grown up, they feel the need to do that. So the order is normally, when the order was intact and the mother's love was flowing towards the child, it is absolutely natural for the child to do that. Wouldn't think twice if they don't get if they don't have their own children. And that is really beautiful to see. So the child, how does the child receive the love? Without judgment from the mother. Because every judgment in the child will stop the love from flowing. Because it wouldn't be good enough. It would be not exactly the way the child wants it. And this is then coming to a halt. This is the big rock that is in the river, is a judgment. And although children, when they are very small, normally not necessarily judge, when they starting to develop an ego, like probably with 2.5, 3 years, you know, and they are exposed to society, they probably form a picture of what a mother has to look like. And then from this picture, they judge their own mother if the mother fits in this. And if the mother doesn't fit in that picture, then the love is not good enough. And that's where then the problem is. That's where the problem lies. So shall we let it sink in first, and then we're going to make our exercise with our mother. Any questions to this?
I guess, you know, I was thinking about adopted children, so where the mother may not have actually provided the nourishment, it's still, it's invisible energy. You're saying she is passing down the love, whether it's tangible or it's just, it is there. Is that correct?
That's the problem, is that you see in cases of adoption that is actually not happening because of the process the modern adoption is, with where the parents are excluded, you know. And this is exactly the problem. The mother has no chance to let the love flow to the child, and the child has no chance to receive it. Because the surrogate, like the adoptive mother, the mother who is adopting, unfortunately in this order of love, this doesn't count, you know.
Right.
So indeed, this is why in adoption often you have this imbalance. However, if the parents have passed away, which happens, yeah, then somebody else is, through destiny, remember, kind of taking over the role, the necessary role, and then the love can flow through the adoptive mother. Or if there is a good agreement between the natural mother and the adoptive mother, then kind of, you know, there are ways for the love to flow. But if this is have been cut off, and, you know, make sure the natural mother has no contact, knows nothing, and is completely out of the picture, and the child is out of, it's like it hasn't happened, then you have this imbalance. Indeed, yeah. That's actually the problem.
Okay, so I just tripped over the, you know, when you said you're alive, so you must have received your mother's love. That's where I got confused. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mother's love
Okay.
is to nourish you and keep you alive. So when the mother dies, somebody else has to take over. And
Right.
if this is in agreement, you know, a soul agreement, death by destiny with the, that's all working. This is where the work is beautiful, because you can, every situation can happen and everything can be balanced. But only if you're in agreement. right? If you are either talking about it or you have a soul agreement or a karmic agreement, this is all helping in the order of love to balance these situations out. We always have the problems when this is when there is a Ablehnung, when there is a dismissal of somebody who belongs in the system. And for this child, the natural mother belongs in the system. And if the right of the mother to be the mother is dismissed completely in this family, then the love indeed cannot flow.
Right.
And you often see adoptive children are often kind of undernourished. They look undernourished, even if they come to wealthy families.
Yeah.
What about like a situation where like the mother didn't want the daughter, so she gives her away to a family member, and the family member doesn't adopt her but takes care of her, but the girl doesn't know that she's not the daughter of the actual
Good.
the child
Very
doesn't
good
know she's the
question.
daughter of the actual family member, but
Yeah, good question. So what you see here is the crucial word is they don't adopt. If they don't adopt and they are caring, that's in order, because they are not stepping into a place like the place of the mother as being in the papers the mother, and excluding the birth mother. So in the orders of love, when somebody doesn't want to or cannot care for a child, and somebody else is stepping in as a caretaker, as a foster, that's the only way to do it.
But in order to do that, the child would need to know that that person is the foster carer. She said.
No, hang on. That is too much in the mind. The child, when we're talking about the orders of love, that is not so much about the knowing. So the child doesn't need to know. It is about the energy that is flowing, right? So the energy is flowing when the mother's not cut out because she has not been dismissed. She's still the mother, but there's a foster carer, right? Then the mother's love is still flowing to the child, kind of through the foster carer, right? Because he's caring. He's not dismissing the mother. Even if they're not talking about it, that's not the imbalance. The imbalance is if somebody puts himself in the role of the mother, has papers, I'm the mother, although there's another mother who's excluded, right? That's where the imbalance is, not when somebody cares for another child. That's totally in order, yeah.
What about this happen?
Just hang on. The child will find that out anyhow, because once the child grows up and has papers, obviously understands that it's not, the mother. So you can't be a foster carer forever unseen. That's just not working. They need the birth certificates for all kinds of jobs and for passport, and who knows, right? So that's not the secret that is continuing. But in adoption families, especially, I think there was a law ruling probably 20 or 30 years ago. I remember that from the back of my mind when I was practicing as a lawyer, that changed that all of a sudden when the child was in Germany, when the child was 18, had a right to know the parents. A right by law, high court, right? So the birth parents. If it's adopted or if it's, a single mother, child, or whatnot. So they have a right to know who the parents are. Yeah.
I have a friend who's, they used eggs from another woman.
Donor, yeah.
Yeah, donor eggs. And they haven't told the children, they don't intend to ever tell them.
They would see
It's
what
a
comes out
mistake.
there. Yeah, well, we see. They will see. That's all good. We are not judging if anything is good or bad. Just don't think this is a course about what to do and what not to do.
Okay.
Right? That's not our course. Our course is to understand the orders of love, and when you have in your own family or when you're on the situation of a helper, when there's somebody in need, that you understand where the imbalance comes from and where the solution lies.
Right. So when the problem arises, then it might be a place to look.
Absolutely, if they want to.
Right.
Right. So that's really, really important when we're talking about all these things. This is not a to-do list. You know, you have to live like this. Every other who's not living like this is not is dumb or is not good and is suffering. That's not our course. Our course is to understand how energies and dynamics and family systems function, and what to do when there is the need to help. Okay.
So I want to just ask you really quickly, back to the dynamic that we were just talking about. What about that happened, the same thing that the family member that gave away the daughter to the person, what about the same thing happened to her, and that's a pattern and it's happening now twice, but it didn't happen to her mother? Is there like a flow there that has stopped with the ancestors, or something happened in the ancestors that this is happening?
In family systems, a repeated pattern is the rule. So if you find yourself doing something to your children or your parents to you, chances are that this is a repetitive pattern what has happened before in a generation, one of the 7 generations before, are high. Yeah. So when you are looking, and this is what is the difference between family constellation and most other healing modalities. Because most other healing modalities working with you or the client and their personal experience, right? But in family constellation, we know that that is probably not there, originated in their life, that they are just repeating a pattern from an ancestor. And we are going there. We are going to the source where it started. And we are balancing, we are helping to balance out the order of love there. And then automatically, because the stream of love can flow down, the pattern that is existing in the now generation will be going away as well. This is why family constellation, and this is why we love it so much, is such a fantastic tool to heal on a very deep level. Because if it's only healing your, like, that's just an example. You have a mother, you as a daughter, you have a interrupted, love receivership to your mother, and you heal it with whatever, Reiki, yoga, and lots of ways, that might help you, yeah, but your daughter might have the same with you. Because you haven't fixed the source when it was probably happening or starting the 5th generation before you. So that is important. This is the why family constellation is truly the tool of change, also for the future generations. Okay, so are you ready to face your mother? Okay, so take the picture of your mother. And now I want everybody first to introduce the mother to us. Yeah? So you hold your picture like this, and I will be the first, and you talk about your mother briefly. Yeah? And just like an intro. So that is my mother, that is Ingeborg. She was born 1923. She was growing up after the Second World War, studying Metz. She was a doctor, one of the first female doctors in Germany ever, and decided to want to have children when she met my father, and had problems to have children, and was very fiercely convinced she needed children, and didn't give up, and received my brother with 38 years and me with 40 years. And just as a side note, I received my son with 40 years as well. You see the pattern here? And I tried 5 years. So my relationship to my mother wasn't easy, but thanks to my work with family constellation, I feel the love flowing and it's helping me, like it's supporting me beautifully in my journey, although she never was in her life able to be part of this journey. So it was all, you know, energetically. So that's my mother. She passed away 9 years ago. Okay. Mariella, would you like to introduce us to your mother?
Sure. Well, this is my mom. Her name is Rosita, we call her. We get along great. We are very, very close. We still, you know, we talk on the phone a lot. She continues to, you know, give me a lot of advice. She's retired now, but she was a psychologist of children and young. Yes, I suppose it was difficult for her when I came to New Zealand. So we do feel there was, for a brief moment, perhaps we couldn't communicate as closely as we were, and now we feel we got it back into life. So we're both very happy about that.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Mariella. Ale. I know Ale's mother, by the way. She was in a family constellation with Ale in the yurt.
Yeah, I don't have a photo on my handy, but I have that digital version. I was wondering if I can share you through the chat.
I don't know. Try it.
Yeah. I think I can do it, but it will be okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I have done it before. Let me just, do I have to do anything? Just put it in the chat and see what happens.
Yes.
Where's the chat?
I was checking here.
You might have to allow other people to share.
No,
it would be in the
here.
screen share. Oh.
Can you open, everyone?
I'll try opening.
You got it? Yeah, I got it too. It's wonderful. Fantastic.
Well, she's my mom. Her name is Viviana. He born in Tucumán in Argentina. And I knew she always wished to have many children. And in fact, I am the oldest of 5. And she spent the whole life with taking care of us, of all of us. Well, how can I say, she's an amazing mom, of course. and now actually she's pretty busy with her grandchildren all time. But however, a few years ago she started a beautiful spiritual journey as well. In fact, she introduced me family constellation 5 years ago in my city. When she tried to talk me about that, I say, "Oh, mom, you have to be crazy." And she say, "Well, whatever you say, you have to. It's something very beautiful that you have to live through your own experience. So I would like to suggest that you come at least one time." And well, I start 8 months before to come to New Zealand, and well, I am here. And
Hooked.
well,
You're hooked.
yeah, yeah, well, beautiful. Well, and I have the pleasure to come to Family Constellation with my and my mom 4 years ago.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Ale. Nice that we could see your mom in the chat. Oh no, what did I do now? Hang on. I know. Okay. All good. Now, Kate, how's about you? Somebody is just went. Ah, here, Namshakti. Here we go. Yeah, okay, she's back. Okay.
I don't know if you can see that. I
There's
do
a
have a
little bit
picture.
reflection. You
Yeah.
could share it in the chat too.
I can't, well, I'd have to send it, and I don't know how to do that. But anyway, she's only about 8 years old in that picture, so it will work for me and not so much for you.
Okay, that's all right.
So my mother, she had 4 children. I'm her oldest. Her mother died while I was in her womb. So she named me for her mother. And I've always felt a real closeness to her mother, who was an artist, and I'm an artist. She nearly never talked about her mother at all. I have a few stories. If I asked, she would answer, but she didn't share much about her mother, who she was very, very close to. There are pictures of the two of them just laughing hysterically, you know. And she's certainly the dearest person to my heart. She died when I was 20. And she was 23 when her mother died, and she was pregnant with me. So at 20, when she died, I thought, well, I better get moving because I want to have children, and so I'm behind. And I think it put me in the mindset that I needed to have children by the time I was 30, and that I might not live past 45, because she died at 45. Mm-hmm. So I'm now 63. I've lived a lot longer, and yeah, I celebrated living past 45. It was my son's suggestion that I shift that. So she's been a big hole in my life. I wish I could have introduced her to my kids and my partner. I thought for a while I would have to marry, you know, pick a man who's already met her. So I thought, oh, I've got to marry that guy because he met her, and he's kind of the best thing of that group. So it's interesting. He's been trying to court me the last few years. But I miss her. I don't think about her much, but when I talk about her, it's, oof, I miss her.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Kate. Thanks. Tracy.
I found it really hard to find a photo of my mum on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have that many in hard print, so I've got this one. So this is my mum and me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes.
So this is Margaret, my mum Margaret. She was born in 1939 in London. So her first 7 years of life was surviving the Blitz and being in air raid shelters and so on. And having a bomb drop in her garden that didn't go off. And she never spoke ill of the war. She was she spoke of kind of the adventure of it, and the family who lived in her house. Everybody came to live in her house. Her mother, her grandmother, all the men went to war, and all the women came to their house. So her auntie, she was the only grandchild of the family born before the war. So, and it was a big family. So she was looked after by all of the aunts, you know, all her uncles, and her dad went to war. So she met a Kiwi when she was about 25 who was doing his OE in the UK, and they fell in love and got married, and he brought her back to New Zealand in 1963. and they bought a house. They built a house in Wainui-a-Mata, and which was a brand new suburb in Wellington, and they had a baby. And when the baby was 9 months old, my sister, my big sister, her husband died. He woke up in the morning and he was being a bit odd. She thought he was playing around, and he was actually having a stroke, and by the end of the day he passed away. And she chose not to go back to her huge family in the UK because she felt that her father would demand that she come home, and she'd lose all her freedom and end up an old maid. And she wanted her independence, so she stayed in New Zealand. And she also felt that she needed to stay for her mother-in-law, who lost her husband 6 months later.
So the father
yeah.
of your father.
Yeah, so my sister's grandfather. So my sister lost her father, and then 6 months later lost her grandfather.
Grandfather, exactly.
Wow.
So there's a pattern, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So my and what I understand now, I've done a lot of work through family constellation, but also just in my life, is that I don't think she ever got over it. You know, she never got over her grief, and it played a huge. She was a loving mum. She was a devoted, absolutely committed mum. I had a beautiful relationship with her as a child. She was an alcoholic. She became an alcoholic. She wasn't a roll around drunk alcoholic, but she was a drink every day, and she was a binge drinker. And when things got hard, she would drink to crying and sobbing in the corner, kind of thing. She was a devoted grandmother to our children, but she was sort of lost. Once we became adults, once all of us, her children and her grandchildren, became adults, it was like she couldn't have an emotional relationship. She knew how to parent, but she was so lost in her own grief. It felt like she was hard to reach. Although I always had a good relationship with her, but it was never what I wanted it to be, really. So, but I loved her, and she loved me, and that was always clear. And she died last year, and you know, it's fresh.
Yeah.
I did her funeral. It was incredible, and it was you know, I feel like I understand why she was how she was, and I accept it. It's, you know, she did her absolute best, and she was amazing. But I have always had sadness. So yeah, and I guess I'm just in that process of losing her, you know, still. Yeah. So
Thank you, Tracy, for sharing. Yeah, thank you very much. Deep breath. Nam Shanti. You could almost wake up your mother and let her say hello.
Oh, yeah. This is my mom. Her name is Anna Medium. She lives with me. She helps me. She's a good mom. I mean, she's been through a lot. I mean, she's from El Salvador, and she was very poor, comes from a very poor background, and moved to the United States. My grandma moved here and brought all her kids here, and she did well for herself. She had a lot of issues, never had a stable relationship. She still doesn't want to be in a relationship with no men. My grandma wasn't in a relationship either. So I see the pattern there. That's it. I mean, she's very Christian, she's an evangelist, so she's very strict. She thinks I'm a little crazy of all the things that I do. She talks about the devil to me like every day.
Oh, so she's Catholic?
She's an evangelist. She's been
What is that?
Pentecostal.
Mm.
It's the type of religion that is very Christian based, where they wear long skirts and they don't wear makeup. They're very strict.
Like Amish?
No, similar to Amish, Amish, or
Or
but
something.
not necessarily like them. They're here, like they drive cars and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
They're really based on the Bible and everything the Bible says, like very, very strict. Like the men cannot wear shorts and stuff like that. And so they're very, very strict. So she's that, and so she talks to me about the devil like almost every day, because she thinks that all the stuff that I do is demonic. And I think that brings trauma to me too, because I grew up as an evangelist as well. So I'm trying to avoid every time she sends me a video. But I think she's wonderful. I do think she has a lot of things she needs to work on, but I accept her for who she is, and I love her.
Thank you for sharing. That's wonderful. It's wonderful to have all these women here and their mothers. And just a thought come to my mind that it's no coincidence that Daniel is not here with us today. Isn't it amazing how the field works? So we are a group of women talking about women and looking at the women. That's really nice. Okay, so what we do now is an exercise. So we're taking the photo of our mother, or when you don't have a photo, and hold it in your heart, and you put the photo of your mother in front of you. And then you look in her eyes, or when you don't have the photo, close your eyes and you look in her eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. And then you see yourself as being small. You know, a child. Take note how old you are. You may be 3 or 7 or 10. Then you look at your mother. You put your left hand on your heart. And then say, please, from the bottom of your heart. And deep breathing, in and out, yogic breath. Allow the belly to expand on your inhale and draw it in on your exhale. And then you repeat from the bottom of your heart, please. And then you see yourself going towards your mother slowly. And when you are close to your mother, say again, please. And if you have a cushion next to you or a fluffy toy or blanket, take it and hug it as if it is your mother. And allow the love that is flowing from your mother to you into your heart. And you continue to deep breathe. And take all the mother's love in. And then slowly come back. Open your eyes. Take a deep breath, maybe a sip of water. Then unmute yourself, and we might have a quick check-in if then something came up to talk about. Sorry for the dogs barking.
I could say something. I was trying to make myself a child, and I kept being an adult, and I think I really wanted to meet her as an adult. So
okay, that's a good feedback. Bear that in mind. Make a note in your notebook over the course of the training that might change.
Yeah, I felt some kind of numbness, like kind of like I didn't want to hug her in a way. It was weird.
Make a note in your notebook.
I also tried to visualize myself as a child, but also was a young adult.
How old?
20s, somewhere in my 20s, like maybe 24. And I didn't want to stop hugging her. I had a sort of a tingling in my body, and I just wanted to keep doing it. Didn't want to stop.
Very good. Make a note that you couldn't go younger than 24. Mariella and Ale, you good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. So that was our mother. Now we take our father. And we're talking about the father relationship first. So yesterday we talked about the father and how the incapability to receive father's love often leads to addiction. Now, when Tracy was sharing her story about her mother and how she was worried to go back to London to be in the realm of her father, right? You said that. And then she was alcoholic, addicted to alcohol. That is what happened. That's a very good example. What happens if you are not opening up to receive father's love as is, instead of holding a picture of him, right? That's the difference. The picture we hold of a person, especially of our parents, is preventing us from receiving the love as it is. And that is causing suffering. And if it's the love from the father not received, this is addiction. And the most common one is alcohol, obviously smoking, and then drugs. So let's introduce our father. I start. This is my father. His name was Johann, but everybody called him Hans. And my son's name is also Hans, his first name, Hans Leander. He was born 1926 in Germany, and he's been called to the war in 1945 when he was only 19. Right? Yeah. And he went straight to Russian captivity and spent 7 years of his life working in the mines there in Russia.
Wow.
And he never spoke a bad word about the Russians. He really thought it as an opportunity and as an adventure and an opportunity to grow and to learn. And when he came back, he studied engineer for mining because that's what he already knew.
Wow.
Yes. And he became really good at it, and he made his way up during his lifetime. He was a very loving father. I was quite fond of him and had a good relationship to him. And I always thought he's very spiritual, but he never let it out. So sometimes I caught him, being somewhere else, and he wouldn't talk about it, or, wouldn't share it. But I think I have this kind of interest in spirituality from him. He was donating his life to care for my mother, who felt sick, very sick, starting when she was 40. After she had her second child, she let go and deployed every kind of disease and sickness. He was devoting his life to care for her. Yes, that's what he did. And that was an order, as we know the order of love now. It is an order to care, for your partner. That's by destiny. That's what you do. And my mother was so strict about him to survive her so he can care for her, that when he had a heart attack, that she revived him. Because she was a doctor. She was not practicing for years, but she did that. And got him with the ambulance, got him back, got him in the ambulance to the hospital where he got a pacemaker. So she could make sure he's surviving her. And he did by 1 year. So they fulfilled their duty, and that was completely in order. Yeah. Okay, that's my dad. Mariella.
This is my dad. His name is Claudio. We are very, very close as well. He's I don't know, I don't think he's like every other father. He's very, very sweet, like he's very connected to his emotions. So for me, he was always very, very loving. He continues to be. He did have a difficult relationship with his own parents, both with his mom and with his dad. He, fortunately for everyone, particularly for him and his mom, before my grandmother passed away, they could make peace and they could say to each other that they loved each other. He kind of told her, "Oh, I'm sorry for being such a bad son," and he was, you were never a bad son, I love you and you are great. But it took them many, many years, and she was about to pass away when they both could achieve that. And I think as a child, perhaps I couldn't quite understand why he wasn't very close to his parents. They were physically close, but we would go and drive hours to see my grandparents on my mother's side, and they were only 20 minutes away. I would hardly see them. And in my mind, that didn't make much sense. It's like, what's going on here? Anyway, I suppose that eventually changed. Yeah, he did have kind of a, I don't know if something going on with his dad as well. And that meant that I think I took over that with my grandfather. I sort of judged my grandfather. I can see that now. At the time I didn't so much, or perhaps I did, but I thought I had grounds. and I think what I was judging is that, yeah, that I thought they were not very loving or caring with my father, and perhaps that I was taking over his feeling. That's how he felt, right? I didn't really know what was going on or happening, but I was, yeah, my father's daughter. I would try and defend him, kind of thing. I still did have a very good relationship myself with my grandmother, and with my grandfather, not so much, but I've been doing a lot of work around it, and it has been very interesting, very, very interesting.
Okay.
So, yeah, he was a manager in sales, and his career was always difficult, or providing for the family. He always did, but he did find it like a heavy weight. And towards his last years working, that all improved. Like the last 10 years of work were possibly they wanted more peace for him. So there was a shift, a positive shift.
Where is he now?
He's in Argentina with my mom. They're very close. They get along well. So they have a lovely marriage there. Yeah, that's
Okay.
my.
Thank you very much.
He
Nice.
did have a heart attack a year ago. Perhaps you should mention that.
Mhm.
But otherwise, he's doing well.
Good. Lovely to meet him. Thank you. Ale.
Okay. Well, I will be sharing the photo. It was hard to find a photo just from my dad because I have many with him. But just I am trying to find, this is the last visit, the last time that he comes to visit me in Wellington.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you got it. Well,
Yeah, got it. Yes.
His name is Guillermo. He born in Argentina, in Tucumán. And he, yeah, funny.
Hilarious.
It was in a playground here in Candala. Well, he went to the military service by his 20s. He born in 1959, and he got married with my mom at his 23. And well, he was very strict with myself, especially in my teenager, because he was so jealous about me or anything. Well, I am the oldest and the woman. Well, but now, a few years ago, I am feeling like free about that. And when actually he get the highest level at his work, which is great. And he's an accountant, and he works well in Argentina. He's still working, and he's a big master for me. He teach me that I can get everything that I want with so much persistence and, well, discipline, I will say. Well, yeah, well, my parents broke up just more than 10 years, and he started a new relationship with another woman, and I have two, well, one half sister and one half brother, plus my stepmother, and yeah, and actually it's going really well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ali. Nice to meet your father.
Thank you.
Kate.
I've got a picture of me with my dad.
Okay.
So I've put it in the, and it says my son's in the picture. I didn't see that. So I've put it there.
Yep, got it.
I think we're at the beach.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
How
my
old are you
dad.
there?
So if Alex was born, I would be 30.
Yeah.
I had him when I was 30, and he's on my chest, I think, as a
Ah,
baby.
yeah, I see. You're lovely. Yeah.
So my father got married when he was 30, and he was very proud to be have waited till then to he was a virgin, he said, when he married my mother. And I was thinking about him today. He was really quite prude. I mean, yeah. Anyway,
What is that word?
Prude. Gosh. Very a very, very loving, very sexual man, but prim and proper. Like, he did things he didn't have relationships before. People thought he was gay because he was 30 before he
Yeah, okay.
he lived with his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm painting the wrong picture with him, because he was a storyteller, very gregarious, big man in the community, had a huge funeral, raised money for many and saved many organizations in New York, Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
So they had many, many award nights in his honor, because he saved several institutions, including the Brooklyn Hospital and the museum,
Mm-hmm.
and the Academy of Music. So yeah, a very grateful community to him. He had 4 children with my mother, and then when she died, he married an acquaintance of hers, a friend who had kids that we knew at school. So we know our step siblings very well. So then we were 7, and he died 3 years ago now. Had a very full life with both wives, very happily married both times. And it came up one time, he said, "You can't die first. I've already been through that. I have to die first. I'm not going to lose my second wife." So my siblings say that I was his favorite. I'm the oldest, and we were very close, but I kind of stepped away, really partly for the rest of them. And I think in my later life, I felt not so close to him. He became closer to the others, which was painful for me, but good for them, I think, important for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Nice to meet your father. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Tracy.
This is my dad.
Mm.
Can you see that?
Yes, very good. Very good.
So his name's Graham. So, he lost his father when he was 4, and he also never got over it. I realised. He was a very, so my mum was his second wife. He got married and had a baby. My half sister, who's 11 years older than me, and he left that marriage when she was 3 months old. So he never really knew her. She came looking for him when she was 18. She turned up on our doorstep and I was 7 and said, "I'm your sister."
Oh, wow, interesting.
Yeah. So I knew of her. I knew that she existed, but to have her turn up on my doorstep was quite shocking, amazing and shocking.
Yes.
So he was a very unhappy man. He was an alcoholic as well, but he was much more active alcoholic. He was violent. I was scared of him. He held our family to ransom, really, with his unhappiness, and he was suicidal. He attempted suicide very many times over my childhood, and he succeeded when I was 13. So, and he loved me, and I knew it. He was loving to me. He loved me, but he was so, you know, he was just so kind of traumatized and damaged. So for about 10 years after he died, I felt quite numb around him. I didn't really know what to do with all of that until I was about 24. And then somebody suggested that I write to him in a journal, that I write a journal for a month and just as a diary, but write Dear Dad instead. So I started doing that when I was 24. I bought a journal, and I'm still writing to him 36 years later. And it's been the most profound experience of my life, because I feel as if I have a father in my life. He's in my life. He's been with me for every great thing and every tragic thing and every difficult thing. I've written to him through the good times and the bad times, and the times when I just feel like writing and I haven't got anything to write about, I'll write to him. And I've had some quite profound experiences with him spiritually, I believe, that where I very much feel him with me, very much feel him connected to me. And when I meditate with him. And when I sit in silence, I sit in silence with him. So he has been an incredible presence and a blessing in my life through this. It's been amazing. And 4 years ago, when I was training to be a celebrant, we had to do an exercise where we had to create a ceremony for ourselves. And I was like, I don't know what to do. But I realised that he never, because he took his life in the 80s, funerals were pretty rubbish around people who took their lives. And I never had anything of his. So my parents had separated. I never got anything of him. And so I decided that I'd like to get a pounamu carved in his honour. And I wrote to a carver who lived down in Havelock at the top of the South Island, which is where my father was born. I found a carver down there, and I wrote to him, and we had lots of email exchanges, and I designed this, and he went and looked for stone in the river and carved it. And in the end, it turned out that he knew my father, that they'd actually gone to school together. He was 85, and he knew of my father. But we didn't actually put all that together until well and truly into the process, when I think he'd already carved it. So it was pretty amazing.
What's the design of the stone?
So probably easier actually on me.
Yes. Oh, yes. Wonderful. Like a little koru.
It's a koru inside. Yeah.
Is it cut right through?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely.
So it's easier if I hold it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
And so then I invited 12 people, 12 of my dearest friends. We hopped on the ferry and we went down to the carver, and we went to his place, and he gave me, and we had a ceremony, and then we went into the sounds and we had a funeral.
Wow.
And I spoke, and it was like I finally had something that was tangible, that was his, and it felt like he'd finally had a proper farewell that was fitting, because it was like he'd been dismissed. He was cast out of the family and not acknowledged. So he wasn't acknowledged as a human being, really, and certainly his death wasn't acknowledged. But he wasn't acknowledged. He was never spoken about again. I never saw his family ever again. Never saw my grandmother. Never saw my aunt and uncle, my cousins ever again. And my mother's family never spoke of him again. So it was like he was completely dismissed. So it felt like I brought him back and really honoured him in the way that he deserved to be honoured. So I've had a really hard journey with my dad, but an incredibly amazingly healing, beautiful journey with my dad as well. And I love him with all my heart.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your dad with us. Wonderful. Shakti.
So this is my dad. My parents are pretty young. They're in their 50s. He's now with my mom. He's married to a younger wife and has like 2 little kids. I have a little sister who's like a year old and a little brother who's 9. I didn't really grow up with him, so I don't know him profoundly, but ever since I was 13 years old, he would send me to Mexico, spend time with my family every month, and I would stay with my grandmother in Mexico during the summers every month until I was like 19 years old. So I did have a really good connection with his mother and my family in Mexico. He's really loving and sweet. I just didn't really have that with him because his previous partner didn't let him see me, so it was like a weird dynamic there. And but I think we have a good relationship. I constellated our relationship so many times because of the lack of I just never felt that we had a connection. Never saw him like a dad. I didn't even like calling him dad and stuff like that. But when I constellated, I think that it helped our relationship, and he's becoming even more sweeter and nicer, and tries really hard to be there for me and my children. I still feel like I hold a little bit of resentment towards him, but I think that I'm working on, letting it go and truly forgiving him for not trying to be in my life as I was when I was younger. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with your dad. So let's take the picture of the dad. Your picture, or close your eyes and see him in your inner eye, in front of you, and take 3 deep breaths. Look in the eyes of your dad. Sink deep in the eyes. Forget about all the stories that you have heard, or all the stories that you had with your dad. Just look in his eyes. Deep breathing. And then put your hand on your heart and say from the bottom of your heart, please. And see how young you can picture yourself when you say this, please. And we do it 3 times again, and you might get younger. So be observant with that. So continue deep breathing. Look in the eyes of your Father. And then say again from the bottom of your heart, please. And make some steps towards your Father in the age you can see yourself as a small child or as a larger, more grown-up child. And then say it again, one more time, deep breath. And say, please, please, Dad, or whatever name you give him. And say it in your mother tongue, obviously. You don't need to use English for that. The language you used with your father. And then grab your pillow, your blanket, your fluff toy, whatever you have there, and give it a good hug. And let the love flow from your father to your heart, from heart to heart, without any judgment, beyond all pictures that you have of your dad or the stories you have heard about your dad. Just let the love flow, exactly how the love is from his heart to your heart. Very good. And then slowly come back, open eyes. Take another deep breath, a stretch. And then unmute yourself. We're just checking in quickly if there's something you want to talk about before we go on our break. Okay. Anybody wants to share something?
I felt my grandfather with me. I never met him, but when I meditate, he has showed up himself and always like very protective. And in my constellation, when I constellated my relationship with my dad, I saw I was very attached to my grandfather. And I saw my grandfather like come and also hug me. It was pretty cool.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Tracy, anything? You don't need to say that. You just came up.
It was just lovely. Just lovely. I was about 4, I think.
Oh, good. Yeah. Fantastic. So yeah, let's just check in quickly. What age did you see yourself? So Tracy was 4. Namshaki, what age have you been in this
I was
little?
a baby, like a newborn.
All right, newborn, nice.
Yeah.
Kate?
I think I was about 2. I was a toddler.
Oh yeah.
That's what I really remember connecting for the first time with my dad. I can remember that.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Ali, how old were you in this meditation?
Now,
You were adult?
yeah.
Okay. Mariela?
I was a baby. He was holding me with his arms most of the time.
You were a baby too?
Perhaps not newborn, but
Interesting. Yeah. How back we go with our dads. Okay, so let's go on the break. And I see you back in, it is 7:40. So in 10 minutes, 7:50 New Zealand time. So Nam Shakti, 10 minutes. See ya. Bye. Okay, welcome back. I want to add something before we go to the other relationships. We want to look to the mother-father relationship. When we have a relationship where one is the, we say it the bigger and the other one is the smaller, like parents are, coming before children, grandparents coming before parents, and so where there is a stream of love that only flows in one direction. This also applies outside of the family system in other relationships, for example, in the teacher-student relationship. So a teacher is also giving towards the student, and the student is not giving back. It's not an equal relationship. This is why the only way the student can pay the debt and balance the relationship is to teach, right? So when you have gathered enough knowledge and experience, and it's like a vessel that is actually getting full, you need to give by teaching. Yeah? So that is actually what made me now finally teach as well, because I felt the need now to give. Yeah? Because I can give nothing back. I can only honor my teacher by giving their wisdom through me, enriched by, by my own experience to others. And this is also how the child honors the parents. And we're talking about that now when we're looking at the relationship to the ancestors beyond the 3rd generation, generation 4 to 7, how there the love, the stream of love works, and what we actually give or receive in this case. So we receive from our ancestors, of course, the love, but it doesn't come directly. The love comes through their children, right? So the love is always going through each generation. If we're looking in family constellation at the mother's line, you have like the grandmother in 7th generation, and then 6th generation, 5th, 4, 3, which would be your grandmother, yep. Then the 2nd, the mother, and then you, right? And then the love flows through each of them. So you're not skipping a generation. But when you are looking not at mother's love or father's love, at the love of an ancestor, that love is flowing to you in form of blessings. So if you have in a constellation an ancestor appearing, or in a guided meditation, that often happens, right? What they give to you, that is blessing. And you can ask for that. And it's beautiful because that's actually what the ancestor want to give, is your blessing. And when we see an ancestor in a constellation also, then it is not that, so a child is entangled with an ancestor, then the role of the child is not to give something to the ancestor, right? To give healing or give anything, nothing. The role is not to give anything to the ancestor. Remember, the water doesn't flow upstream. the role of the child who's entangled with an ancestor, and the ancestor appears in a constellation, is now you know it. It's to make aware that there's an imbalance. It carries the information, so the ancestor itself fixes it in wherever it happened, right? So the child can then step out again and, you know, watch it. So it's the child is not giving by fixing anything, right? It's just making aware, pointing out that there is a need of healing, which then the persons who were actually involved at the level of the ancestors have to solve, to find the order there, with our help, obviously, because it happens in a constellation situation. Okay, so let's go. Is there anything else about the ancestors I want to say? Yeah, and what the child is doing is like instead of giving anything to the ancestor, the child is actually honoring the ancestors through living a fulfilled life. So, if you will, by receiving all the love and blessings of the generations before and not throwing it away, you know, but receiving it as it is and making something good out of it, leading a good life, whatever that is, a full life. That is what makes the ancestors happy. And then you see that the order is intact if this is happening. Okay, so we are, yeah, that's what we do. We do a guided meditation to meet our ancestors now. So just take your notes, finish taking your notes, and then put the pen away, sit upright. Straight spine, feet on the ground or cross-legged sitting. And then deep breathing, our magic yogic breath. And then gently close eyes. And continue to breathe, inhaling and exhaling deep into the belly. And with every inhale, find the space inside you that is always at peace. And continue breathing. And when you are at the place that is always at peace, you see yourself in your happy space. The happy space that is maybe a meadow or on the mountaintops or in a cave, wherever you picture your happy space. And somewhere in the distance, you see a line of persons. They're coming over a rolling hill or out of a room. And you go towards them. And each of them is one of your ancestors. And once you are there, you see Some are standing, some are sitting, or even lying on the ground. Some have the eyes open, some have eyes closed. And you walk around and connect with each and every person without any judgment, with an open heart. You take note of every single person. And when you have been through them all and acknowledged every single one, you step 1 or 2 steps back and look at them. And one out of this group of people will draw your attention especially. He or she may smile at you, reaches out, steps forward. Whatever happened, whatever gesture, take it as it is and go to this person. And you look in the eyes, and then you take a deep bow in front of this person. And you stay there with your head down, breathing in the blessings, the wisdom, the love of the ancestor, until he puts or she puts her hands on your shoulder and asks you to stand up again. And you get up again, look in the eyes of your ancestor, and then step back a few steps and look at all the people at the same time. From the bottom of your heart, you say yes. Looking over the group of people into a distance. And say it again from the depths of your heart. Yes. And then you say it a third time. Yes. Then you turn around and go back to your space in your room where you're sitting. And when you're ready, you gently open eyes. And unmute yourself and just checking in quickly if there's something you want to talk about. If somebody wants to say something, raise your hand. Otherwise, we move on. Kate.
I just I want to acknowledge it was my mother's family. I don't think her grandfather ever met her mother, but they were all together, which was really nice. Felt really lovely.
Wonderful. Very good. Yes. Okay, so enriched with the blessings of our ancestors, we are going to face our current relationship. Let's talk about relationships in general first before we go in our personal one. So relationships, which we sometimes call romantic relationships, which probably not always that romantic, they are following other dynamics, right? So in a relationship that we call an adult relationship or a romantic relationship, everyone is equal. That's important. There's not a stream of love that flows from one to the other. You're looking at a lake where the water is always level, right? And that's where you and the partner is standing in or swimming in. So in this matter, giving and taking has to be balanced. Each one is equally giving and receiving. And although that sounds quite logical and easy, it is not so. Because very often in partner dynamics, one is eager to give more than the other. And what happens then? You can see that when you look at problems in relationships, that one is giving too much or so much that the other is not able to receive it or balance it by giving anything equally. That causes an imbalance that in the end certainly leaves that the one is leaving the relationship. One is leaving the partnership. Who do you think would that be? Ale?
The people who is not able to give the same level is going to leave.
Yeah. Because he or she cannot balance it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that feels uncomfortable. And even if the love is there and everything else, the one who is not able to receive it all or balance it out by giving cannot take that any longer. And he has to leave, or he or she has to leave, right? So that's a very common dynamic in relationships. Another very common dynamic, and then talking about money. So when we're talking about giving and receiving, we are talking not about material things, we're talking about energy, like everything is energy. So the one who's putting more effort, more energy in, more care, more work, more whatnot, yeah, that is energy. The same is with money. So actually someone can balance a relationship out with money. We have like this pre-concept that money is less good or dirty or is not good when there's love involved or something weird. This is not true. Money is just energy as everything else, right? So one can give bread and butter, so to speak, to nourish, and the other can give money. You know, it's the same thing. So it's not to be dismissed lightly. That doesn't mean you can buy everything. Like you cannot buy love. That's correct. But you can balance giving and receiving by giving or receiving money as well, if there is no other way to do it. The other common problem in relationships is judgment. And this is what kind of happen naturally all the time. But it is in the end the reason why most of the relationships fail. Because if you judge the other partner, because you are leveled with him, so there is no room for judgment, you know. So if there would be like a father-child relationship, the father can judge the child. That's possible, you know, has an opinion because this is the right order. But in a partnership, it's not. So that is also a common problem, that judgment is in the way of a balanced relationship. But Hellinger in the Orders of Love are talking a lot about what is the balancing in the good and the balancing in the bad. It's probably also another of these clumsy English translations, because in German it does sound quite nice. But what it really means is, so what is if somebody in the relationship is doing something bad to you, right? Whatever it is, like something not more, doesn't need to be mean, but something not nice, something bad, something just an example doesn't come to my mind, like it's probably dismissing the partner, or talking not nicely to the partner, something that we would consider as not nice, something bad. How do you balance that? Is that an eye for an eye? Are you doing the same then to him to balance it, or to her? Is that what we do? What do you think?
I have done that. It worked for me.
Probably was more revenge. Is the partnership still existing?
No, it wasn't revenge. It was an affair.
So the partnership doesn't exist anymore. See?
No.
So we want to balance it out in order to keep the relationship.
It did help. It did help. It helped for a few years.
That's not good enough. So in the Orders of Love, if you want to keep the relationship, then you balance it out by also doing something bad, but a little bit less. And that is important. It's not an eye for an eye. So in your example, I don't know, when somebody has cheated on you and you want to keep the relationship, you would flirt with somebody else, but you wouldn't cheat. That would be a balance in the good. So to let the love grow and keep. So then your partner, when he's in the same, when he has the same intention, then he would balance your flirting but not cheating out with a little bit flirting with somebody who probably doesn't even know it, and so all of a sudden it balanced out, and nothing bad happens anymore. And that's a really nice way to let love grow in a relationship. So if you wouldn't do nothing, now that's also not good, because it needs to be balanced somehow. This energy, right? Somehow needs to be balanced. And when something, if you want to let the love grow, and something does something really nice, whatever, invites you to a second honeymoon or something like that, how would you balance it? If you want to keep the relationship, you would do something nicer, right? So the niceness would grow. And if you do something to balance it, but it's not as nice as what it was, then it's a lesser to the relationship. And when your partner does the same, then the love kind of dissolves over time. That is the balance in relationship in a nutshell, right? This is how it works. So if you cannot balance something out, because you can't, for some reason, there's no way to do it, then especially when it's in the bad, like if the partner did something bad and you can't balance it out, then there's always another method to balance the relationship out and bring the love back, or balance the love out, is by forgiveness. But it needs to be the right forgiveness, not the forgiveness that we've been taught. I forgive you. It's not going to work, because the I forgive you is not a relationship that is equal. I forgive you is I'm here and you did something bad, you are down here. And now I forgive you, so I'm coming like this towards you. This is not. What in a relationship that is equal is when somebody has done something and the other one needs to balance it out by forgiving. It's forgetting rather than forgiving. You forget about it. It's done. It's gone. It's deleted. It's never been talked about anymore. It's never been thought about anymore. It's just as if it hasn't happened. That would be then also a way to balance it, but that needs to be consciously done. It's not like how can you say it? It's not like I don't want to look at it. I just don't talk about it. It's just like, I don't touch it. It's a conscious choice. It says, okay, he did that or she did that. I can't think of a way that I want to balance it. I probably don't want to cheat or flirt with somebody else. So I forget it. That can be balanced in the good, right? So that is what Bert Hellinger is suggesting in the orders of love, how you balance giving and taking in relationships. What is also interesting is in the balancing of relationship is that there is a difference between intimacy and bond. If you look close at relationships, you will find that the intimacy decreases over time, especially when a child is born. And that is completely and totally in order. The intimacy of a romantic relationship decreases, especially when the first child is born. But that doesn't mean that the love decreases or the bond. The bond can be strong and more intense, but instead of having, if you think of intimacy as a peak of a mountain where you climb up and that's kind of the climax, and then the intimacy decreases because the child is born, it's flattened out. So what it does is it's widen actually the horizon. So it gives the partners a chance to find a new way together with a broader horizon, right? With more room and more space for each other and the child and others. If you are, or one of the partner is still clinging on to the intimacy, and that happens often, that the mothers naturally, when the child is born, stepping into this realm of leaving the intimacy with the partner and broaden it, and then the partner still wants to, be intimate with the partner. That cannot ever be reversed, right? That's often a reason why then the partner is leaving or the other partner, depends on, because this is not balanced. So if both partners are able to find the new relationship equal, with a broader horizon where there is space for children and space for individuality, because intimacy takes individuality away, no? And this might be okay for a while, but not for the whole duration of a lifetime in the partnership, right? You still have a goal to achieve. You still are an individual with a destiny, or with a dharma, as you would say in yoga. So the partner then would be the one who is not following your path, who is also having an own path, but since there is a lot more space instead of intimacy, this has all its own room to grow. You have to make the space available. That's in Bert Hellinger's Order of Love, the way to deal with balancing in intimate relationships or partnerships. And with these transgender things going on and same-sex relationship and everything else, This is kind of a movement development over the last 20 years, and in his books that he was writing, there is not much about that. So I think it's more that our generation and who comes after are more the ones who are developing like the next family constellation level, where all this finds a new order, you know. And as in the tradition of Bert Hellinger's work, we are looking at it not from a philosophy and from a busy mind and a clever intellect. We are looking at phenomenologically. What's the English term? Kate?
Phenomenologically.
Phenomenologically. Okay.
I don't know that word.
You don't know that word. Whoa. Do you know that word, Namshakti?
It's important tradition in Germany, particularly, right?
There must be an English word that is different to that.
No, it's a word. Phenomenology.
Phenomenology.
A phenomenology. No. Is it that?
I don't know it.
Interesting.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, look it up. So it is a word.
You know, Tracy?
Tracy?
I know of the word, but I don't know what it means. I've heard of the word.
Okay, so if it's an existing word, then I'm pretty certain it is a word that I'm looking for.
Okay.
It comes from Latin, the word, and it's used in German, pretty similar in German language. And it means that you are finding a rule through experimenting. So you are looking at the phenomenon that arises in a situation over and over again, and when it's always the same phenomenon, then you make it a rule. This is how Bert Hellinger developed the orders of love. It was completely out of practical experience with family constellations that he found the orders over 20 years. And so I think when we are now thinking about same-sex, transgender, and everything where not this man, women, child order is obvious, you know, that there is an order. Of course there is an order of love that we probably don't know yet, that we have to find with our work. And this is exciting. So go in this situation with a very open mind, but just be part of the morphic field and be open to receive these information when they happen, right? I mean, if we have a transcend, Maria, if we have a same-sex constellation or transgender, that would be awesome, obviously. So just for you that are on the complete training program, when we have our 10 workshops, this is the time, and we will have others participating in. This is the time when we look at, when we do real family constellations, where you are part of, and we might, if we ask the field, we might have the next time we have, you know, a same-sex situation, partnership situation. That would be awesome. So this is how it works, and then we look at it, see what's the right order there, and then we look at the next one if we see some similarities, and the third one, and then there will be kind of an order happening.
May I add how I understanding it's a very strong tradition in it's a philosophy, it's a way of doing science. So it's a strong tradition in France, in Germany, you know, yeah, there are many others phenomenology scientists,
yeah,
within human sciences.
Yeah,
yes?
It's a very good way to find rules or regulations, because it's natural, it's what happens.
Would you like me to give you the definition?
Yeah.
It means an approach that concentrates on the study of consciousness and the objects of direct experience.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
That's
it also
very
said,
nice. Can
Thank
you
you.
repeat, please? I want to take note of that.
it also said study a phenomenon. So a phenomenon in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Direct experience. I like that word.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Study of
Experience.
consciousness.
Study of consciousness.
So an approach that concentrates on the study of consciousness and the objects of a direct experience.
Thank you. That's very nice. A study of consciousness approach in objects and a direct experience. Very nice.
And I've got that it was founded in the early years of the 20th century by Edmund Husserl and was later expanded upon by her circle of followers in universities in Germany.
Mm. Yeah.
That's why it's, Mariella, you're saying it's so big over in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually what we do with family constellation. That's how family constellation has been born. And this is how we develop it over time. So it's also not stagnant. It's flowing like everything else, like energy. It's always moving. Very good. So there's more to say about this unbalanced giving and receiving in partnership. So for example, if somebody, you might know a person who is always giving and giving without being asked, and always giving and giving and giving, and it doesn't feel right to you, right? You feel like you don't want that. Why is that? It's nice to, it's great to get all the time, but it's not. In fact, you feel it. It's not. It's great from your mother. It's great from your father, but it's not great from another adult, partner or friend. So what the problem with it, that subconsciously, this one who is giving and giving and giving says, that's a quote from Bert Hellinger, better you feel guilty than I. And that's what we don't like.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Better you feel guilty than I.
Yeah, it's like I don't know you anything. You owe me. If anybody owes anybody, it's you owe me.
Yeah. Yeah. And in this situation, you who is on the receiving end of such a person, you will end the relationship because you don't want to feel guilty. And that is often so you can do two things. If you worship the relationship, then you say stop giving, or you find a way to give yourself, right? Obviously, so you find a way to balance it because you can give something, right?
I can say stop giving. This is getting too much heavy for me to pay you back.
Yeah, you can be very open with it.
Yeah, so I cannot accept that because this is too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting because I did that a few years ago and I'm feeling guilty about it.
So hang on, what did you do? You give too much, or you?
I said, don't give. Stop
you
giving. Stop, please. Stop giving me stuff.
But you already felt guilty.
No, I'm starting to feel that was a rejection. Right now I'm starting, like today I've been thinking about it.
Oh yeah, here we go.
So you're telling me the opposite, which is good.
Yeah, it's the opposite. You know why you feel guilty is because the action that came before was saying better you are guilty than I. And now it's actually working. You know?
I feel it feels like a rejection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's really funny I notice my way in relationships with friends in general. I usually give too much, and sometimes they're unable to pay back, so they leave.
Absolutely.
And whatever they come to give me something, sometimes I don't accept because it's not what I want. And then I have to understand, to be humble enough that that's their way to pay me back, and I have to accept it.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to keep the relationship.
If you want to keep the relationship, yeah.
It's
just
yeah.
Like Oh,
You also have to make ways that they can give. Because often you put yourself in a position where it is impossible to give to you, right?
yes.
It's
Yes.
impossible. So what a really lovely example is, one of Bert Hellinger's books is, if you're talking about giving and receiving in partnerships, you have to make sure what you give is actually what somebody can receive and balance. So, for example, if you say, I will love you till the end of your time, that's too much. How can that be balanced? How can that be even received? So what you do is say is, I'm gonna massage you the feet tonight, you know? And then the partner can say, enjoy that and say, and I'm gonna cook you dinner tomorrow, you know? So this is giving and receiving in a pure form where you can actually balance it out immediately, and there's no debt collecting in any way, shape, or form, and you are not coming in too big, too broad, which cannot be received actually. Right? That's an interesting aspect. Because also the people who always say, "Oh, I'm gonna love you today. I'm never leave you. I never." They are mainly the people who've been left. Like nobody can actually bear that, you know, because you cannot balance it. You there's no way, no logical way to do that. You know? So that's one problem in balancing. So as a take-home message, watch out for people who wants to help you all the time without being asked, because they are actually collecting debt. That's what they do.
You said watch for people that are what?
They are giving you all the time without being asked, because they are a debt collector. Yeah.
They will charge you back after.
Yeah. One day, yeah. And if it's not nothing else, then they want they want the guilt. They want their guilt wherever they have it for, you know, giving to somebody else, which could be very well being something that is in the family system collected, the guilt, you know. So instead of looking at their own issues, they are rather giving and giving and giving and saying, better you are guilty than I. So that's also a dynamic. You might want to watch out in a family constellation and go deep into the ancestors here, because there will be a debt somewhere which hasn't been paid back. Yes, I want to talk about in this about empathy. Empathy, I translate Mitleid as empathy. But Hellinger is talking in German about Mitleid. I think you can translate it as empathy. And this is actually a low energetic state, and it's not the state of helping somebody. It's the state of feeling sorry for somebody else. That's what I want to say. Yeah. So this feel in a relationship that is equal, one should never feel emphatic in a way as feeling sorry for somebody else, or feel, you know.
So I think when you feel empathy, it's you identify. When you feel pity, I think you're talking about pity.
Okay.
When you feel sorry for someone.
Yeah, pity. Okay. So this
empathy means I can feel what you're saying. I identify it. I recognize it. I know what that feels like.
Okay.
But it's not quite pity. It's better.
Okay, let's say pity. So if you feel
sympathy,
pity,
sympathy is also a good word for that. Empathy
which one?
is really sympathy.
Sympathy. Okay.
Sympathy is feeling sorry for somebody. Empathy is feeling like you understand, like you resonate. But sympathy is I feel sorry for.
Okay. So pity or sympathy, that is also an emotion or a attitude towards somebody where it's not equal, because the one who feels pity or sympathy consider themselves in a higher state, you know. and goes down towards someone to meet them there. So they are not meeting at the same level. So that has also no room in relationships if you want to keep it. Good. So we are coming to our exercise.
So I guess I want to say that it makes me really sad because it's nothing what we learn in the movies, that whole romantic thing that we find someone, everything is going to be perfect and it's all about the real love. But in fact, this exchanging, balancing of exchange is really, it's quite mathematic, isn't it? There's nothing romantic about it if you see, right? And there's an effort in order to keep things flowing in a good way, isn't it? Oh,
you got
gosh.
it, Daniel. Life is not romantic.
Yeah.
Only
I mean, relationships
movies
are
are.
great, isn't it? But there's always, it's like,
Life is very mathematic. Life is all about mathematics. It's, in German, it's another lovely word. We call it Naturgesetze, which is, we in English call it science, but if you would translate it literally, you would say the knowledge of nature is what we call science in Germany. So it's really the knowledge of nature. So a relationship is also to be looked at from a scientific point of view. Learning about the nature of a relationship and then acting like it. And romantic, that is a fantasy. Yeah, that's a picture. That's a judgment, actually. Cannot work. Impossible.
because
How do you say phenomenology in German?
Mm-hmm. Which one?
What's the term in German? What's the
For?
word?
For?
Phenomenology.
Phänomenologisch.
Okay.
Phänomenologisch.
Because in fact, if you don't feel that you want to learn anymore with a person or to keep with that person, you're not going to make any effort to exchange with her anymore, right? And then the relationship will be over, right? And in fact, yeah, it's almost like
exactly what I wanted to talk about now before we go to our exercise. It's exactly that. When we step back and look at relationships from a scientific point of view, it is always exchange. This is by definition. You are relating to somebody else through exchange of something, right? Which is always energy. And we have to, for survival, we have to exchange. We have to be in relationships because the greatest torture one can have is confined solitude. We cannot survive that, other than yogis that are in another state of consciousness in their case, where we're not talking about that here, obviously. So if you are as a normal person, you are living, you need to exchange your energy. It's like a cell.
And also to give, right? Be humble enough
That
to
is exchange, yeah.
And exchange and grow with that exchange.
That is very important. So if you look just just look at a cell in the body, right? I mean, we have several billions of cells in the body, and they all are in itself a little cosmos. They can survive in theory, but through the membrane, they're exchanging all the time with the others, to create this beautiful body that we are carrying around here, right? And that is amazing, but that's all just possible through exchange. Giving and receiving. So if one cell stopping to receive or one cell is stopping to give, then the whole system breaks apart. Yeah, and that is the same when we look at our family systems, or in a broader aspect, larger systems like a country like Argentina, or the whole world, or religion, or whatever system you look at. There's constant exchange is necessary. And so we just need to understand there are two ways of exchange. The exchange between equals needs to be balanced, one-on-one, more or less. We talked about that, balancing in the good, balancing in the bad, yeah? And then there is the relationship between non-equals, with parents, children, or teacher-student relationships. Yeah, where you are not giving and receiving the same way. You are only giving, and the receiver gives. So one way street. That's the only choice. It's still an exchange. It's just not between the same people. So if you will. So in an equal relationship, you're exchanging between the same people, and in a non-equal relationship, you're exchanging to multiple people. Yes, Kay.
So when you're working with a business constellation, is it like family in the sense of boss, underling,
You mean
or is
like
it
the
more,
flow, a one-way
yeah,
street?
so it's obviously not a flow of love, but it's a flow of exchange.
It is. It is. As we yeah, it is. And also, when you are working with organizations and constellations a lot, you find, and you're always working with one who's a client, right? He wants to look at something. And then you find over time, in fact, he or she is always constellating their family system. Because the organization they are in is representing the family system.
Oh, okay.
Because that is why they are in there.
Right.
And the problem they have with the organization is the problem they have in the family system.
Right.
This is why it's fascinating to work with it,
They brought it with them.
Yeah, everything you do is a mirror of what you are inside, And so whatever job you are in, the organization you are in, whatever, it is mirroring your family system somehow. It might be sometimes obvious and sometimes very subtle, but it will be there. And the solution lies always there to find where is the imbalance and to balance it.
That is
find
so
the order.
cool. And my job, I noticed that people sometimes complain because I got two jobs now. One, I work for an organization, New Zealand Care, looking after autistic kids, and I noticed that people that work supporting people with disability, they complain so much about the work, and I feel sometimes like, oh my God, you're thinking that the organization is like your parents; they should give. But I think like, oh my God, in fact, you're not a child here. I mean, you're exchanging. You're giving something, your time, and the company is paying you back. And if you feel that that's not enough, you either leave, find something else, or renegotiate the situation. But like they feel that they are children, they should receive.
So there's a yes and a no to it, and you have to look at in every constellation where exactly is the imbalance. So in an organization, you have both. You have the equals and you have the non-equals, right? And now you have to find in this particular organization who's standing for what, and then you see where the imbalance is and what needs to be balanced. So it can very well be that there is a mother-child relationship. Yeah. But the child, being the employee, cannot request from the mother love. Has to receive it as it is. So that's then the arrogant child talking, who doesn't want to receive the love as it is, it wants a different love. So that's what you see in constellations. You have to look at the constellation. There might very well be an issue with an equal relationship within the organization, which maybe then your client has an equal something with a partner going on, something similar, or a former partner that is unsolved. Yeah. So an organization, everything is open. It's like a new field, right? A new field, but the orders of love working there equally. So they're working there as well. They just need to be seen as such. Okay, so let me just see if there's everything. So we talked about organization, we talked about exchange and relationship, systems exchanging with each others as well. So you might come to constellations where you are, having countries, like different countries constellated or what way. They need to exchange as well on that level, right? If they would stop exchanging, like the Soviet Union or the Eastern Germany or so, these were systems that were excluding themselves from exchange. They build walls and all this, and in China they do. They have to break down, and they have broken down in Germany and in Russia. And they will certainly break down in China as well one day, because they cannot survive on a long shot. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, okay. I think here we are. We spent the last 15 minutes with looking at our partner. Because we are a little bit short on time now, what I would like you to do is that we all at the same time hold up the picture of our partner or ex-partner, the one that is the closest to your heart at the moment.
Okay.
And just say, you don't have one, Ale?
Yeah, but I have digital.
Yes, it's okay. We'll put up your phone. There we are.
Okay.
Very good. Awesome. Kate? Ale?
Yeah, one moment. Oh, sorry.
Screensaver.
Just I am looking.
Kate, do you not have a picture? You are muted.
You muted, Kate.
Kate is muted. Okay, let's take it there. We want now to make a meditation with our partner, so you can look at the picture or not. It's up to you. If you look at your picture, keep the picture there, otherwise close your eyes and then take some deep breaths.
Yeah.
Deep breathing. And when you're in your place of peace and tranquility, you look at your partner or your ex-partner. Look him or her in the eyes. You can look also at the picture if you prefer that. And then you say, from the depths of your heart, yes. Yes, I take you as you are, exactly as you are. You are perfect as you are. There can nothing be added or taken away to make you more perfect. And then you feel into your heart if there is something imbalanced. Do you feel you need to give or you need to receive something to balance the relationship? And when you feel the need to receive something from your partner, just picture a gift wrapped in nice paper and a bow in your favorite color. And see how your partner is giving you this gift. And you take it from his hand to your heart. Look in his eyes and say, thank you. And when you feel the need to give to your partner to balance bring balance to your relationship, then you wrap your gift in gift paper with a nice bow. Maybe put your perfume on or your essential oil, make it smell really nice. Put everything in this gift that needs to be given in order to balance the relationship. And when you're happy with your gift and you are sure there is everything in that is needed to balance it, the relationship, then you look at your partner and you say to him, please take my gift. And then you see how he receives it, takes it to his heart, and says, thank you.
And then you might want to take some steps with your partner forward. Or you might want to leave the partnership and you let your partner go, or you turn around and go the other way, whatever feels right. And then come slowly back into your room. And when you're there, open eyes. And let's check in before we leave our module 1 with everybody. Unmute yourself.
I put my picture of my partner in the feed if you want to see it. Yeah.
Ah, wonderful. Where is
It's
it?
with me. It's with me. I'm in the picture.
Okay. Ah, here it is. Oh, well, I know your partner anyhow. Okay, so how about that we all find one sentence that is coming to your heart that you want to say, not a story, just one sentence or one word even, that that you feel you want to share after this intense weekend where we went through module 1 of the training. And just be guided. Be guided. Don't think about it. Be guided by the field.
Mine is excited.
Very good. Thank you.
Mine is balance.
Balance. Mm-hmm.
Mine is relief.
Relief. Mm-hmm.
To be starting.
Very good.
Acceptance.
Step dance. Lovely. Your new hobby, Ali.
Mine is hope.
Oh,
Mine is the understanding of the mechanics.
So you feel more understanding now.
I feel more understanding. Yeah, definitely more things coming up. Yeah, understanding on the entanglements in myself, especially.
That is
Yeah.
wonderful. And that's exactly why we are doing this. Although we might have an urge to help others, but first of all, we have to help ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I do have lots of entanglements.
We all do. No worries. So over the course of the training, we should go through lots of those, and not only in the training modules, which are more teaching content, but especially in the workshops that are part of the training. So the next workshop that is scheduled is for the 23rd of August, right? Just have a look. For those who have booked the whole complete training, this is already paid. So I will issue coupon codes to you, so you can go and book it. This is all an open event, so we see who else is joining us then. And but these workshops are specifically for you to look at your issues. So make use out of it. You are not there as an observer or a student. You are participating as a normal workshop. And it is important in this work to look at the own issues and find solutions there, and work on from both sides with the morphic field, from the one who is constellating and the one who is learning about it, right? At the same
time. You give us a different code each time, do you, for each workshop?
Yes. Yes. I have to think about that, Tracy. Maybe I find another way, but I will. All of this we are talking about in great depth on next Sunday. Daniel, you were not there, but you are not part. You haven't booked the complete training anyhow. So everybody who's on the complete training, which are the other ladies, we are meeting next Sunday again. Yeah. So I will issue therefore a invitation, a link to Zoom, and then I see you there. And yeah. Is there
Can I
anything
ask,
else?
what's the family constellation on the 22nd, 23rd? Is it one day, or is that the one in Christ? What is it? Is it live?
Which one?
The one September 22nd, 3rd, around there, that weekend.
The second module, right? 23rd of August.
I think it's the second module, yeah.
No,
Oh,
the second
I'm
module
sorry.
is in
I thought you
September.
said a workshop.
In September, yeah. In August is the workshop in Christchurch.
That's
Yeah.
oh, it's Christchurch. Okay.
Please, guys, if you guys want to experience the field in real life, come to Christchurch. Ale is already coming. Come to the workshop. We are going to have a beautiful chef, which is a vegan chef, a friend of mine. She's doing, the menu, and it's everything being prepared with lots of love. It's a beautiful place at Eddington Haven. There's a beautiful group of people here already coming. We already have around 9 people sign up for the workshop.
This is not an online workshop. This is
No,
in-person workshop.
That's in person. Unfortunately, you cannot travel, but
Yeah.
but don't worry about that. Other than the food, which is obviously inviting, the workshops online are as intense as in a group.
How do we get information about that one, Daniel?
Yes, absolutely. I can. I don't know if I can share here or where I can share.
Yeah, of course. Put it in the chat.
I'll put in the chat. Yeah.
Yes, put it in
You have to do it now. You have to do it while we're still here.
True, because
or send an email. Put it on our email list.
I will email you, Tracy.
Because I was wanting to show someone today and I couldn't find it. So please send it to me too.
That would be fantastic.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. So the workshop we're doing with you is online, but the workshop he's talking about is in person.
That's true. That was
okay. Got it. Thank you.
That was sidetracked. Sorry for that. So coming back to Family Constellation Virtual, we are all meeting next Sunday, 10. We said 10 New Zealand time, 6 p.m. New York time, Washington time. We're going through everything we need to know about the complete training. I give you a list of books recommendation and other things to do, and how we proceed. And we talk about the workshops and the coupons and all of that and how this all works. And until then, and Daniel, I see you in Christchurch anyhow.
Absolutely.
And until then, I wish you a wonderful next week, and stay tuned.
Oh, thank you. One more thing I would like to ask. I took some pictures during the training,
Yeah.
and I would like to ask all of you if you guys are okay to appear on my social media, on Facebook or Instagram, because of course I'm marketing these events of Maya here in Christchurch, and most of the pictures I took is Maya on the big screen and you guys in the small screen.
We can't do that, Daniel, because this is copyrighted all by me.
Ah, okay. All right. I just
So
wanted
that is what I have to, also when I send you the videos, I will send out, because this is a new medium and I haven't had it all prepared before we started. But now I know what's required. So it's all copyrighted by me. I'm the only one who's publishing it. And I will, I will deal with that. And if that's a way to support this event as well, then we will find a way to incorporate.
Okay, I'll send the pictures to you, then you can check with the other guys if you want to use this material anyway.
Yeah. So. I don't need pictures. I have it all recorded.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so good nighty night. Sleep well. I see you all next Sunday or later next month. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.